Hi, we're going to talk about keeping pollution out of storm drains, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples that I see locally here that you may be able to identify in your own area as well. The United States has a lot of water, and we have a lot of industry going on, and things can get onto the roads and streets and come out of people's yards and industrial sites and head into the drain system. Some of the drains still go directly into local waterways, and this can pollute the local waterways. And while we work out the tremendous amount of work that has to go into changing the infrastructure to accommodate this modern use of liquids and all sorts of fluids so that we don't let it get into the water where we have to clean it up before we can drink it, or it will destroy a life for plants and animals. So while we work that out, we want to make sure that we do as much as we can to help keep pollution out of storm drains ourselves. So this is not going to solve the problem, but what I'm trying to do is avoid finger pointing, except pointing a finger at the problem to solve. Okay, and let's go take a look at it. And we're looking at a brochure that I picked up from a local area. From Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, SEMCOG. Thanks, guys. Help keep pollution out of storm drains. Storm drains and roadside ditches, which we have a lot here in Southeast Michigan, and I'm sure you do, especially in the rural areas. In urban areas, you don't see the ditches because they're down underneath the streets and roads. However, they do drain out often to waterways. Now, storm drains and roadside ditches lead to our lakes and streams. That's just the way it is. Any oil, pet waste, leaves, dirty water from washing the car or other outside activities enters the storm drain and gets into the lakes and streams. That's what happens. In some locations, there are gigantic agricultural operations, and sometimes there's a flood and the material gets off into the lakes and streams. How are we going to do that in the long run? How are we going to take care of that in the long run? Not quite sure, but we are identifying the problem. We are talking about the problem. And once we see a problem, we can solve the problem. So we want to keep pollution out of the storm drains as much as we can. And as individuals, me being an individual, we can do that. We can do that together. We can sweep it. Do you have extra fertilizer that's spilled out somewhere, or grass clippings or dirt on your driveway? Sweep it back into the lawn, or pick it up and place it into the trash bin, because hosing your driveway sends the pollutants into storm drains that lead to lakes and rivers. So we need to avoid that. And if there's oil or any other drippings on your tarmac from where you've parked your vehicles, that can also get into the drains. This is also for industrial folks, so please keep this in mind. Keep it clean. Whether it's in the street or in your yard, remember to keep leaves, grass clippings, trash, and fertilizers away from the storm drains. Keep it away from the storm drains. So maybe you have a storm drain nearby. Do we need to keep it neat and looking good? Yes, we do. But do we need to cut down so far that it creates a nice, smooth transition of the water into the drain? We don't really need to do that. It can have a little buffer around it, so that buffer can start cleaning the material before it gets in there. So only rain in the drain. Only rain in the drain. That's kind of a nice saying, right? Never dump motor oil. Never dump motor oil, chemicals, pet waste, dirty or soapy water, or anything else down a storm drain directly. Doesn't belong in there. It's only for the storm water that's coming off the surface, and there's quite a lot of pollutants in there already, so we don't want to add to it. It's not a place to dispose of your materials into the garbage dump. Now, once down the storm drain, all of those materials do pollute the lakes and rivers. The material disperses, it spreads out, and it poisons a lot of things, and it poisons our water. And then we have to pay to have it cleaned up, and well, if we didn't poison it in the first place, it would cost a lot less. So label it. Volunteer to label storm drains in your neighborhood. Keep an eye out for them. You're going to be amazed, I'm sure, as I was, that there's a lot around. They flow directly to the lakes and streams, and encourage your friends and neighbors to contact the local community for more information on drain stenciling programs, so you can stencil it and paint on the ground, and that's a lot of fun and interesting. You can discover about the present infrastructure that you have in your area right now. These are things that you're paying for taxes, and that often folks will say, well, we don't have enough money to do that. We have to find money to do that. Why do we need to find money to do that? Well, we don't want to poison the kids, do we? We don't want to poison ourselves. So this is a process that we've started. So help keep pollution out of storm drains and contact your local, state, county, and federal government and let them know that we need this to solve this problem. But we can start right now by making sure that we don't dump in anything into the storm drains that don't belong there. And those are chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, all those poisons. So thank you very much for listening and have a great day.